Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, cold Scottish deer stalking. We're on the hill in Galloway after red hinds and fallow does.
And we're hunting. For sheer glorious colour and heart-pummelling excitement, can you beat the Boxing Day meet?
First, we've broken some pretty big stories this year. Here's another one. Shooting Times news editor Selena Masson has joined the long list of people who've had their dogs stolen.
It's £1 million a year business. Dog thefts are on the increase, and in particular trained working dogs. Selena Masson is one of thousands of owners who've had their dogs stolen this year. Her black 3-year-old Cocker Spaniel Archie was taken on the 11th of December at a shoot in Sussex.
The back of the car had been smashed into, the thieves had taken a crowbar to the security grille at the back, and yeah, he was gone.
The feeling of loss has been unbearable for her and her boyfriend Simon, and they've tried every possible way to advertise that Archie's missing. Even Facebook is playing its part, getting the message out there and giving Selena some comfort with well-wishers offering their support.
You go through waves of feeling really, really positive and thinking you've got 800 people on your Facebook group, you know, getting coverage like this. I've got an article coming out in Shooting Times, you know, everyone's really rallying round, and I feel really positive that we're going to get him back. In fact, sometimes I think I can't not get him back. And then other times you'll just plunge into despair and, you know, have a little breakdown and need to disappear into the loo at work and have a little cry.
So how do you get a stolen dog back? Well, sadly, you have to play the game, as sick as it is.
What we've noticed in the last few years is more and more dogs are going to what we call ransom situations. The people that are stealing them are realising the owners are going to pay far more for that dog than anybody else. So they're now waiting maybe a week for posters to go up before they move the dogs on. This is why we have to tell the owners straight away what they have to do, and they have to put a reward on there. Even though the police advise you not to, if you want to see your dog, you've got to pay the money, otherwise you're not going to see your dog again. In the South East, it's about £500 a dog at the moment, if you're lucky. Some people can get very greedy, want 1,000, a couple of thousand. One lady last year paid £3,000. And they came and stole the dogs again.
The main reasons for someone to steal a working dog are probably financial, but it could be for fighting or coursing. But then there are some thieves who are just barbaric. One of our regular contributors, Roy Lupton, had his 2 long-haired German shepherds stolen in the summer. One is still missing. The other was found 8 miles from his home in Kent, locked in an empty barn with septicemia, its tail chopped off. Roy told us he believes his dog was left there to die. His family, like Selena, are offering a financial reward for the return of their dogs. So what should you be doing to try and keep your dog becoming a statistic?
The bigger problem we have is with the rural dog theft, the working dogs. This is getting a big problem, and these could be moved all over the country. So, you know, appeal to everybody, get some ID on your dog. It's too late after the dog's been stolen. Think about, you know, make it a priority this week. Get your dog down to the vet and get it microchipped or tattooed, or indeed both. Tattoos are far more visible.
And if your suspicions are aroused, there are a few signs to look out for which might show that you're next in line.
The giveaway sign is check your gates. They'll usually leave a chalk mark of some sort on your gate or a pile of stones.
Dog theft is a rural crime which is devastating people's lives. Doglost.co.uk responds to 150 calls for help every week. And if you have any information about the theft of Selena's Cocker Spaniel Archie or Roy's German Shepherd, please contact the charity at the website on the screen now.
We hope Selena and Archie are reunited as soon as possible. If you see a black Cocker Spaniel you don't recognise, just check his ear for that tattoo, TC2966. The message is, watch out for dog thieves. But as Nick Ross says at the end of Crime Watch, don't have nightmares. Now, what a year we've had. Fieldsports Channel launched on August the 12th, 2009, with, of course, grouse. We were up on the hills with a party of guns so stylish it brought a piper with it to play during lunch.
But these guys aren't just here for the shooting. It's the event and the tradition, and thanks to East Hochhaus Hotel, it's the fantastic lunch.
No, that's a young bird.
Young birds, yeah. It's a good big young bird, isn't it?
As we march on, the dog handlers are reminded to keep their charges close.
Boy, get on.
Until that first grouse gets up, Davy doesn't know if they'll be spooky, in which case he risks the dogs flushing them too far away to shoot, or if they'll be sitting tight, and then we may, well, just step over them. But suddenly, things start going our way.
Come on, bring it here. Good boy. Good lad. No biting. Up, up, up.
But we also love making a splash. Our 12th of August programme acknowledged that the hunting with dogs ban is laughable by going hunting with cats.
We're in a deer farm in Essex to see Bimani rekindle his instincts, and it's all perfectly legal. Johnny and Bimani are as close as man and cat can be. So why is he teaching Bimani about hunting? Johnny knows what he can do within the strict laws that govern ownership of such an exotic animal, but he also wants to give his cat a chance to enjoy its natural instincts. It's not as easy as you'd think. This cat is more bag puss than bag hearer. It's an uphill struggle for Johnny. There's a rabbit over there. No, thanks. Not today, but thanks. There's another one over there. No, I don't think I will. We tried it in daytime. We tried it in the evening. We practically tried it at night. And then Bimani called for his bed. I think I'll have a little lie down. His bed's actually a kind of comfort blanket for him. We're at a deer park in Essex. What are you trying to achieve today?
Well, all we want to do is start really learning how to teach a cheetah to hunt. I mean, the idea is Bimani's obviously been hand-reared and is very, friendly with us. But what we hope to do one day is breed and release cheetahs into the wild in Africa. So in order to do it, we thought it would be good to have a good bit of practice before we leave. So by coming here, it's a great way for us to experiment and to actually see what it involves training the cheetah to hunt. So if I spend a long time teaching Bimani, he can be the one that will teach the future cubs how to hunt in the wild.
Yeah. Has he ever seen a wild rabbit before, Alan?
Not until the other day. I mean, he's eaten plenty of them,
yeah,
but I don't think he actually knows what they are.
He knows the smell, doesn't he?
He knows the smell.
You can see him doing the bushes up and down the
Yeah,
side there.
but I don't think he actually relates the rabbits that he's fed from a freezer to the ones that are hopping around in that field out there.
Going back to Africa, the conservation side of it, cheetahs are threatened status at the moment.
Yeah, cheetahs are an endangered species. There was 100,000 cheetahs left in the wild about 100 years ago, and today it's about 12,500 left. So the numbers have dropped so quickly. This is why we think if we're going to bother having cheetahs in captivity, then we should really make the next step forward and start trying to release captive bred cubs, or I don't see there being any point in breeding cheetahs anyway.
As a last resort, Johnny decides to drag some of Bimani's food on a string behind the car. And that finally gets him moving.
Since then, we have shown the white roebuck of Dumfriesshire. A white red stag is fairly common, a white fallow buck very common, but a white roebuck is a once-in-a-decade event, and it hit the newspapers.
Looking closely, it looks, if I can see the button antler, yes, they're on the front. I mean, these are not very clear pictures, but that looks like the antler starting to grow. So we've got a roebuck there. It's quite unusual, it has to be said. These are rare. albeit we've checked, and locally in that area, every few years or so, one is spotted. So it's obviously something in the genetic strain up there. But other than that, he's acting perfectly normally, and we can see, there we go, there's a good shot. And you can just see the button antler growing on the front there. Now it looks as if he's teamed up with a roe doe. It's a little bit early for them to pair off, but they do get territorial. So he's obviously established a territory up there. Now I know there's been questions of whether this animal should be shot or not. And at the end of the day, it's down to deer management. The person who owns that land has got the responsibility of deer managing in that area. Now he might want to keep it as a curiosity. On the other hand, it might be thought that to have these genetic abnormalities in the gene pool isn't a good thing, and therefore he may choose to cull it.
We also had a go at the RSPCA. Falconer Roy Lupton rescued a golden eagle from the wild. Despite doing it completely legally, DEFRA had the bird confiscated and gave it to the RSPCA to look after. After a catalogue of mistakes and neglect by the RSPCA, the bird died.
When we were let into the RSPCA facilities by the police, I couldn't believe, the state that they were and the conditions that they were keeping the eagle in. All the advice that I'd previously given them when they seized the eagle had been completely ignored. The bird was in a stress condition. Her talons had been worn down because she'd been kept on a concrete floor. The only perching facility she had was a rock and a couple of mouldy logs, and the environment and the condition where she was very damp. You couldn't have asked for a more perfect harbour for aspergillosis spores, or for any other disease to start. I informed the police that I was very distressed that the bird was being kept in these conditions, and asked them to remove this bird, to remove the eagle from these conditions as quickly as they could, because it really wasn't suitable.
The eagle died just a few days after Roy got her home.
She actually started to make a slight recovery during the night, but unfortunately the next morning she passed away.
Yet despite all this controversy, I was able to enjoy the stalking at Balmoral, where the stalker had to lower me down a short cliff with a rope on my ankles so I could get onto a really stunning 13-pointer. Onto the top of the hill, and I'm the next to take a shot. When the rut starts properly, this big stag is likely to be displaced by one coming from a neighbouring beat on Balmoral or a nearby estate. It's steeper than it looks. To get to it, I crawl over a boulder and the stalker ties a rope around my ankle so I can't fall down the hill. 2010 is going to be a big year. Repeal of the hunting ban is on the horizon. We were out with foxhounds in 2009, ranging from the soft southerners of the Chid and Leck at Petworth Park in Sussex to the tough northerners of the Coniston foxhounds on the Lake District fells, to the Wild West, the West Somerset foxhounds on the Brendan Hills, which, in my opinion, is borderline fell hunting. But we couldn't miss out on the most spectacular meet of the year. Boxing Day wouldn't be Boxing Day without a bit of sport. Anticipation was in the air as thousands of people turned out in all weathers for Boxing Day meets all over the country. Anticipation of the hunt and anticipation for what 2010 may have to offer. Certainly those at the Old Surrey Burstow and West Kent hunt, which met at Chiddingston Castle in Kent, were hoping that the hunting act will disappear as quickly as you can say, never trust a politician.
Oh, it would be a nice thought, it would be a very nice thought, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yes, I think there's a bit of anticipation, and everyone's quite excited about the prospect. You know, hopefully, as we all know, it's bad law, and that's why it should be got rid of. Hunting aside, really. It's, so I think we are all pretty positive and hopeful, obviously.
It can't ever end. That's all I say. I grew up in Kent, and I now live in the United States. But this is just fantastic to see that you still have access into the countryside here in England, and I think that if people don't have access into the countryside and don't enjoy it, then they don't care for it.
Well, it will survive. Of course it will. Get rid of some people up there quite nicely.
In all, around 300 hunts braved icy and wet conditions, with the largest crowds of the season coming to show their support for the countryside and hunting. The dedication of the supporters and the work of organisations such as the Countryside Alliance have ensured the pressure on Westminster has never relented.
Wherever you go in the country, hunting is generating huge support. And most of these people here, of course, have never sat on a horse in their life or hunted, but they know that what was done to this community, to the hunting community 5 years ago, was wrong. And I think they also see the determination and the desire to reject that prejudice, to actually keep going, to keep the campaign going. And they think it deserves their support. So you'll see scenes like this across the country, from Cumbria to Cornwall and everywhere else. And it is heartwarming. And I think it's a huge help for those masters and huntsmen who are running these hunts under very difficult conditions at the moment. It's great for them to see this public support.
As usual, there was extensive media coverage of the event. Fox hunting meets are a visual feast and a hotbed for debate. But how long will the fluorescent police jackets share the same stage as the scarlet coats of the huntsmen? The old Surrey Burstow and West Kent hunt has seen some changes over the past few years, but the most recent is down to the increasing popularity of the country sport.
Basically, we used to hold a meet at Penshurst in the village, at the pub there, and unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, we had so much support that it actually became bordering on dangerous. So we decided to, within all the health and safety laws we have to concur with, we decided to try and find a new venue, and as luck would have it, Chiddingstone Castle very kindly said that we could attempt to hold it here, which looks like it's been a huge success. Yes, fantastic. I mean, we were expecting about 1,000 on their feet, but then it poured with rain and we wondered if that was going to happen, but it looks like it has, so it's great.
So, when the ban came into force, would he have believed that in years to come, with the law still in place, 2,000 spectators at this hunt alone would still be showing their support?
No, I don't think we did, honestly. We hoped, beyond our wildest dreams, we hoped it might happen, but no, we never really believed that we would get to this stage so quickly. And it has been quite quickly, although for the people that work within the sport, I'm sure it seemed like a very long time, and to our supporters as well, it seemed like a very long time. But in real terms, 4 years after the ban, we are facing a real possibility of repeal taking place. And let's face it, the reason repeal has to take place is because it's been a complete and utter waste of money and time and effort. And the taxpayer have lost literally hundreds of thousands trying to police a law that even our judges don't understand.
As we hit 2010, Fieldsports Channel will be doing its bit to help change the law. Well, it's a time of year for presents. Some you win, some you earn. George Digweed earned his in the final of the Mitsubishi World Series at the Midland Game Fair. He won an L200, and we were there. Christmas came early for George as he signed on the dotted line to get his hands on his festive-looking L200 Trojan.
Oh, very pleased. No, you can't not be. It's, it's a culmination of a year's work and one that I've been trying to win for a long time and finally succeeded.
George won the Mitsubishi Motors World Series this year after 7 attempts. The great thing about this competition is that it encourages new talent as well as world champions. On hand to congratulate George is Ian Harford, Chief Executive of Countryman Fairs, which holds the events at its fairs around the UK. Ian has seen the competition grow into one of the most inclusive and important clay shooting competitions in the country.
The Mitsubishi Motors World Series is the largest prize fund clay shooting competition in the world. We've given away nearly £1 million worth of prizes over the past 7 years. Every penny we receive in sponsorship goes back into the sport, goes back into developing new shooters for future generations, and yeah, we're very pleased with it. And what a fantastic prize, £25,000 worth of cars. It's incredible.
It is a fitting end to a successful year for George.
I've had a tremendous year. I won this, I won the European Championships, Pan-African, Italian Grand Prix. You know, it's been one of those years. So a year that most people would look on as a lifetime achievement. So yeah, I can't complain.
And Ryan Giggs still beat you to Personality of the Year.
Doesn't he play football or something? You know, he's top chap, and I'm very, very pleased that he won it because he deserves it.
The Mitsubishi Motors World Series 2010 is set to be even more challenging. There's no telling who will be driving away with the title.
Hi, my name is Abbey Burton and I run the Hayward Estate Shooting School, and today I'm going to be talking about eye dominance with one of my clients. Yeah. Do you know what master eye you are at the moment?
Yeah, hopefully right.
Hopefully right, okay. Right, before we do anything, I'm going to get you just to stand square on the mat. Okay, you're going to imagine that you're going to shoot a clay at 12 o'clock. So your foot position for a right-hander, your left foot is actually going to be, you're not going to be stood side on to 12 o'clock, but you're not going to stand square on. So you're going to stand what I call between 12 and 3 o'clock.
Sort of like that?
That's it, yeah. Okay, just keep both eyes open for the time being. Right index finger now, your arm's going to be out nice and straight.
Yep.
Okay, you're now going to point at my right eye with your right index finger. So point straight at me, just keeping both eyes open. Good. Okay, that shows me that you're right eye dominant because your finger is actually lining up with your right eye. So arm down again. I'm going to do the test once more just to double check. Up to my right eye with your right hand. Good. Yep, down you go. Definitely right master eye, which is absolutely perfect, okay? Good. This actually means that you can shoot with both eyes open. You don't have to shut your left eye because you don't want to shut off 50% of your vision. You want all of it as much as you can in order.
Does that give me an advantage when I'm shooting, being able to shoot with two?
Yes, it does. It allows you to obviously take in speed, angle, trajectory of the clay a lot quicker than you would do with one eye. And if you were to shut one eye, your peripheral vision is actually restricted. Okay, so we've established that you're right eye dominant. If you were left eye dominant, this is what I'd have to do, and I'd actually have to tape off, and I've done it here with sellotape, your left eye. Okay.
What was that? Just stop.
Well, what I do, instead of blocking out the eye completely so that you can't see out of that left eye, I put sellotape on it.
Yeah.
This actually stops it from being able to focus, so it doesn't bring the left eye into dominant control.
Cool.
Okay, so if you were left eye dominant, that's what you'd have to wear. If you know of anybody that's left eye dominant.
If you were left eye dominant but right-handed,
that's
you'd have
right.
to do that.
Yeah, if you were left eye dominant but right-handed, left eye is taped off. If you were left-handed, okay, but right eye dominant, you'd have to do the same. So I would then tape off the right eye with sellotape, but not block it out completely.
Okay.
Because you want as much light and information going in as possible.
Yeah, because I still want to look straight down the gun with the eye, you know, right,
that's right,
right,
the
or
correct,
left.
That's right, the correct eye to shoulder.
Oh, just as well I'm not then.
Perfect, perfect. If I can give you now just a set of glasses and ear defenders to wear, because what we're going to do is we're going to actually proceed with the session now. Let me grab my ear defenders and the gun. We're going to just do some dry mounting of the gun into our shoulder to get nice and comfortable. Now, when you close the gun for me, I want you to close the gun so that it's pointing down range. So you're going to close it up for me now. With
if I was holding it when it was open, would it be sort of under there or just?
Yeah, what I do is hold it around the pistol grip. Okay, finger off the trigger and that hand under the forend. Cool. So come a bit further forwards. That way you don't pinch your fingers in the action. Yeah, and just let it rest behind. Okay, so you're now going to close the gun. Gun's perfectly empty. You're going to close the gun for me so it's pointing down range. Good. Now pop it up into your shoulder pocket, which is just there. Perfect. Head comes down onto the gun. Now, instead of your chin coming to the gun, I'd like this part of your cheek in contact. Good. Like now, as you can see, on this gun in particular, you've got a centre bead as well as an end bead. Now, I'd like you to put that bead at the bottom of the front one. So just get that one there, in line with
Yeah.
that one there.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yep.
Okay, I know the gun's empty.
Right.
I'm going to take a look round the other end just to check that your eye is mirroring what I'm telling you, okay? So I'm just going to take a look. Keep your head on the gun. Okay, you are ever so slightly up this side at the moment, so head needs to, that's better. Good. So you can see that that bead is in line with that one, so that will now shoot exactly where you are looking.
Well, I hope so.
Okay, right, before your arms ache, under the armpit, lever across, and then you pull the front down. Now, once you've shot, the cartridges will eject. Okay, I will make sure my hand's there in order to stop it coming up and hitting you. Okay, here it comes. So lock onto the clay, to the right, good. Let's have another go. One out of one. Same again, close it, pop it up into your shoulder. Good, head nice and forwards, get that figure of 8. Good, here it comes. Lock onto the clay, move with it to the right.
Good.
Lovely. Ball of smoke, that one. Okay, brilliant, well done. So as you can see, you were right master eye, right eye dominant, both eyes open, and you saw the sight picture of shooting that clay quite well.
So what if I had a problem seeing that? I know I hit those two, but if I was missing them, and would you go back to see whether?
Well, what I do is some people, if they can't quite see the gun in relation to the clay because they're not understanding the gap distance between it in order to hit the clay, I'd get them just for a couple of shots to close that left eye so that they can see perfectly down the barrel, see the clay and see the exact relation between the gun and the clay as clear as anything.
Now from shotgun to rifle. For every buck or stag that's shot in the summer, a commensurate number of hinds are shot in the winter. I went up to Galloway to find out more. You got forestry, you got deer, and boy, does the Galloway forest have deer. At 300 square miles, it is the largest forest park in Britain. Nick Latus is one of the growing band of deer stalkers who find hind and doe stalking as much, if not more challenging than stag and buck stalking. He's out today with stalker and sporting rifle editor Peter Carr to shoot the females of the species.
Well, we're here, Charlie, to cull an abundance of hinds. It's commercial forestry here, and they do a significant amount of damage within the forestry, and we've got to keep the numbers down for that reason.
A fallow doe was the first stalkable animal they came across.
Well, she actually had a follower with her, and she was quite a young doe, and she had a calf there, so we couldn't shoot her because we'd have orphaned the calf, which is not what we want. We're here to do. We don't want to do that. We could have shot the calf and gone for the doe, or vice versa, but because it's quite harsh environment here, if we'd have shot the doe, normally you would be able to take the calf out, but I wouldn't want to leave an orphan doe. So she was quite healthy. She was a young animal, and we just left her.
I don't know what it would be, people. What would it be?
120
yards,
yeah.
something like that, wouldn't they? Yeah, pretty easy shot, really. But I say, like Pete says, it's not all about just. You've got to do management side of it as well. You haven't got to start orphaning calves.
In a low ground situation on arable farm, I would take the chance, because it would be the odds would be in the favour that you could shoot the doe and then shoot the calf, because for a few seconds the calf's disorientated and it looks to its mother for leadership, and there is a chance on the low ground it would survive through the winter months at this time of year. It still will be suckling, but it'll be almost weaned. But in this harsh environment in Scotland where we are, it'd struggle. If it had some harsh weather, it would die.
Management is always at the back of your mind, I think. At the end of the day, the living beasts, and you've got to respect, the quarry. In my mind, I enjoy my shooting, and I just want to have a good day out on the hill or on the lowlands or wherever. And at the end of the day, it's the quarry you've got to put first, I think. And,
I think it is important to say, Charlie, that wildlife should really be viewed as a commodity, because these areas, the sheep farming, hill areas, game shooting, stalking and sheep farming is basically the income in the area, and visiting sportsmen will pay money to go out and help us with a management plan, and it's the money that they inject into the local economy as well, hotels, everything. There's a lot of positive sidelines that go with actually deer stalking, and I think it is important to you know, to note the fact that it does bring a lot of money to the area. But you know, we have to do the management ourselves, and when there's sportsmen such as Nick, who's quite prepared to pay, and you know, it's a great day out for him. You know, he works all week, and at a weekend he can come out stalking and help us, and you know, we also make a living out of it.
We move on round the hill. Deer are everywhere, and we come upon a herd of red hinds. All of them look to have calves, but Pete spots the one that doesn't.
There was half a dozen hinds and calves and one dry hind, and they'd gone out onto the hill and left the forestry. We managed to just outflank them really, but they were aware that we were there, but they weren't really sure exactly, you know, where we were. So we had to be fairly quick, and then Foxy showed his face, and any opportunity to shoot a fox up here, you know, it's a game shooting area. A lot of lambs here, big sheep farming country, so always take the fox.
Less than a second after he brought down that fox, Nick was onto the barren red hind, and he shot that too.
Yeah, I don't think really know what was going on.
But that's one good thing with a moderator for deer control. They don't know where the bullets come from. And fair play to Nick, he was very quick. The hind, the dry hind, was the one to the front, which made it quite easy. We'd already picked her out. It was quite quick, and well done, Nick, really.
Thank you very much, Bert.
You're welcome.
Hind stalking is superb budget sport. It's harder than stag stalking because the girls are warier than the boys, and it usually takes place in extreme weather. It is also considerably cheaper. A day's hind stalking can cost the right side of £100. The seasons for all female deer in the UK run until February or March, depending on species. Check out the fine shooting section of our directory for great deals on stalking near you. Otters. Now that was a happy stalker in Peter, a happy guest in Nick, a good size carcass for the larder, and local gamekeepers will toast the passing of that fox. We're back next week with Shooting Politics. This has been Fieldsports Britain, and we've had a laugh in 2009.
Blade of grass, a squeaky duck. Oh, bollocks.
Oh, Charlie.
Go on, just practice that. Yeah. Barry White CD.
It doesn't really matter if you use a quad bike or a nag. Did I say it doesn't really matter twice?
Don't know, I was just thinking, where's the effing horse?
My colleague David has been to see somebody who knows the language of love better than most. Well, I can't get that last bit right. What a fantastic face. On an autumn hunting day like today, it doesn't really matter, does it, if we use a quad bike or a horse? A quad bike. A blade of grass. This is going to make the blooper reel. A blade of grass. A squeaky duck. And I looked away.
Back here, you'll hit the railway line, and we'll pick you up in the vehicle.
Thank you.
When you do it, when you open it, you make it quite abrupt, like bang, and you're straight in.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Staying riverbanks, pheasant shoots, and pigeon heights. Sorry. There. This week it's worlds in the east world. Me stalking at a reasonably priced high seat. One more. Staying
very slow.
Fast enough. Staying with Roebuck, where been off to see a man who speaks the language of love better than most. Yes! Think yourself lucky.
I can't fly either.